Danny Fletcher squeezed the cleaning solution onto the observation deck windows and wiped in circular motions. The view beyond the glass never got old. Stars stretched out in every direction, and occasionally a shuttle would drift past on its way to somewhere important. Danny was not going anywhere important. He was wiping down windows on the Galactic Defense Academy station, same as every other day. The station was huge, shaped like a wheel spinning slowly in the darkness. Thousands of people from dozens of different species lived and worked here. Most of them were soldiers or instructors or tacticians. Danny was none of those things. He cleaned floors, fixed broken lights, and made sure the trash got taken out. It was simple work, and Danny liked simple. Down the corridor, someone shouted. Danny glanced up from his work and saw a group of aliens hurrying past. They wore training uniforms, all different sizes and shapes. One looked like a giant praying mantis with 6 arms. Another moved like a slug, leaving a slick trail on the floor that Danny would have to clean later. A third had scales and walked on 4 legs like some kind of lizard. Danny had been on the station for 8 months now. In that time, he had learned to recognize about 30 different species. He still could not pronounce most of their names properly, but he tried. Most of them were nice enough. They nodded at him in the hallways, said hello in their own languages, sometimes asked him how his day was going. Danny appreciated that. It made him feel less alone. There were only 3 humans on the entire station.
Danny was one.
The other 2 were scientists who worked in the research wing. Danny rarely saw them. They were busy with important experiments. Danny was busy with mops and buckets. He finished the windows and gathered his supplies. His next job was to clean the training halls on level 7. Danny shouldered his equipment bag and headed for the elevator. The station had 70 levels in total. Danny had cleaned all of them at least twice. He knew every corridor, every storage closet, every shortcut. Level 7 was where the combat training happened. Danny could hear the sounds before the elevator doors opened. Thuds and crashes shouted commands, the hum of energy weapons on practice settings. The training halls were always loud. Danny stepped out and made his way down the corridor. Through the windows of each training room, he could see different exercises happening. In one room, soldiers were practicing with rifles. In another, they were running obstacle courses. In a third, they were grappling hand-to-hand. Danny stopped outside Training Hall C. Inside, a group of about 15 aliens stood in a circle around their instructor. The instructor had 4 arms and blue skin that seemed to shimmer under the lights. Danny recognized her. Instructor Paileme. She taught close combat techniques. Danny had seen her classes before. She was tough but fair. Something was wrong, though. In the center of the training area, smoke was rising from a metal dummy. It sparked and sizzled. Paileme was gesturing at it with 2 of her arms while the other 2 rested on her hips. She looked frustrated. Danny checked his watch. He was supposed to clean this hall in 20 minutes after the class ended. But if the equipment was malfunctioning, maybe he should offer to help. He was maintenance crew after all. He keyed the door panel. It slid open with a hiss. Paileme looked up, her large eyes focusing on him. Maintenance issue? Danny asked, stepping inside. The training dummy is broken, Paileme said. Her voice had a musical quality to it, like wind chimes. It short-circuited during the last exercise. Danny walked over to examine it. Sure enough, the circuits were fried. This dummy was not getting fixed today. It would need to be replaced entirely. I can haul it out of here if you want, Danny offered. Get it out of your way. That would be helpful, thank you, Paileme said. Then she paused, looking at Danny with her head tilted. Actually, perhaps you could help with something else. Danny felt a flutter of nervousness. Sure, what do you need? Paileme gestured to her students. We were practicing disarming techniques. The students need a partner to hold the training weapon while they attempt to remove it. Since the dummy is broken, I need a living partner. Would you be willing? Danny glanced at the students. They were all staring at him with various types of eyes. Some looked curious. Others looked skeptical. One of them, the mantis-like creature, clicked its mandibles in what might have been amusement. I do not know, Danny said slowly. I am not trained for this kind of thing. You do not need training, Paileme assured him. You simply hold the weapon. The students will use the techniques I have taught them to remove it from your grip. It is perfectly safe, Danny considered it. He did not have anything else scheduled right now, and helping out seemed like the right thing to do. Okay, he said. I can do that. Paileme's skin brightened, which Danny had learned meant she was pleased. She reached over to a weapons rack and pulled out a long staff. It It was made of some kind of composite material, dark gray and about 2 meters long. "This is a standard training staff," Ptolemy explained, handing it to Danny. "Hold it firmly but not aggressively. The students will approach one at a time and attempt to disarm you." Danny took the staff. It felt light in his hands, lighter than he expected. He had carried heavier brooms. He held it out in front of him, gripping it with both hands. "Like this?" he asked. "That will work," Ptolemy said. She turned to her students. "Rin, you will go first. Remember the 3-point twist we practiced?" The mantis creature, Rin, stepped forward. Up close, Danny could see that its exoskeleton was a deep green color with black markings. It had 6 limbs in total, all of them thin but segmented with visible joints. "Ready, human?" Rin asked. Its voice was raspy, like paper being crumpled. "Ready," Danny said. Rin moved fast. Its 6 limbs grabbed the staff at different points. Danny felt the pressure as Rin began to twist, trying to wrench the staff out of his hands using leverage. Danny held on. He was not trying to resist hard. He just did not want to drop the staff and look stupid. Rin twisted harder. Danny could feel the creature straining, but the staff did not budge. After 10 seconds, Ptolemy called time. Rin stepped back, its mandibles clicking rapidly. It looked confused. "Good attempt, Rin," Ptolemy said. The leverage was correct. "Perhaps you need to commit more strength to the movement." She looked at another student. "Hora, your turn." The slug-like alien oozed forward. Despite having no visible arms, it somehow wrapped its entire body around the staff and began to squeeze. Danny could feel the suction. It was like being grabbed by a wet rubber band. He held on. Hora squeezed harder. Danny tightened his grip slightly, worried the staff might slip. Hora made a gurgling sound and released, sliding back across the floor. "Interesting," Ptolemy said. Her tone had changed. She sounded puzzled now. "Human, are you resisting intentionally?" "No," Danny said honestly. "I am just holding on." "Should I not hold on?" "You should hold naturally," Ptolemy said. "Do not make it too easy, but do not make it impossible either." "I am not trying to make it hard," Danny protested. "I am just holding it." Ptolemy's skin color shifted to something darker, like storm clouds. Danny had learned that meant she was uncertain or suspicious. She gestured to another student, then another. One by one, they tried to disarm Danny. None of them succeeded. Some used twisting techniques. Others used yanking motions. One tried to strike the staff at a specific angle to knock it loose. Nothing worked. Danny started to feel bad. He must be doing something wrong. Maybe he was gripping too hard without realizing it. He tried to relax his hands, but Ptolemy told him to grip normally. After the 8th student failed, Ptolemy held up one of her 4 hands. "Everyone stop!" The students backed away. Danny stood there awkwardly, still holding the staff. Ptolemy approached him slowly. Her large eyes studied him carefully. "I am going to attempt the disarm myself," she said. "I want to understand what is happening." "Okay," Danny said. He felt nervous now. Maybe he was about to get fired for messing up a simple task. Ptolemy positioned all 4 of her hands on the staff. Her blue skin rippled with concentration. Then she moved. It was like watching a complicated dance. Her hands twisted the staff in 4 different directions at once, using leverage points that should have made it impossible for anyone to hold on. Danny felt the pressure. It was strong, stronger than any of the students had managed. He instinctively gripped harder, not wanting to disappoint the instructor by dropping the weapon. Something cracked. Everyone froze. Danny looked down at the staff. A long split had appeared in the composite material, running from where his right hand gripped it almost to the center. "Oh no," Danny said. "I am so sorry. I will pay for that." Ptolemy did not respond. She was staring at the cracked staff like she had seen a ghost. Her skin had gone pale, almost white. The split widened. The cracking sound got louder. Danny's grip tightened reflexively, embarrassed and nervous. The staff broke completely in half with a sharp snap that echoed through the training hall. Danny stood there holding 2 pieces of broken equipment, his face burning with shame. "I am really sorry," he said again. "I did not mean to break it." But nobody was listening. Everyone in the room was staring at him with expressions that Danny could not quite read. Fear, maybe, or shock. Ptolemy's hands were trembling. From somewhere down the corridor, running footsteps approached. Danny looked down at the broken staff in his hands and wondered if this was the day he lost his job. The door to Training Hall C burst open. A figure made of what looked like living crystal rushed inside. Danny recognized Security Officer Weld. The Prax species were all crystalline, their bodies reflecting light in rainbow patterns. Right now, Weld's surface was flashing red and orange, which Danny had learned meant alarm or concern. "Report," Weld said sharply, his voice like glass chimes. "Sensors detected structural failure of training equipment." Danny held up the 2 pieces of the broken staff. "That would be me. I broke it. I am really sorry." Weld's crystal body flickered through several colors as he processed this information. His faceted eyes focused on Danny, then on the broken staff, then back to Danny. "You broke a composite training staff," Weld said slowly. "With your hands." "I did not mean to," Danny said quickly. "Instructor Palami asked me to hold it for a demonstration, and I guess I held it too tight when she tried to take it away." Weld walked closer, his footsteps clicking on the floor. He took 1 piece of the staff from Danny and examined it. The break was clean. The composite material split lengthwise. Weld ran a crystalline finger along the break point. "These staffs are rated for 800 kilograms of force," Weld said. He looked at Palami. "Is this accurate? The human broke it while you attempted a disarm?" Palami's skin had returned to a more normal blue color, though still pale. "Yes, I used a 4-point leverage technique. The staff should have been pulled from his grip easily. Instead, it fractured under the pressure." "I really am sorry," Danny said again. He felt like he needed to keep apologizing. "How much does it cost?" "I can pay for it. Maybe in installments." Weld's colors shifted to something that might have been confusion. "The cost is not the concern, human. The concern is the force required to damage this equipment." He turned to Palami. "You are certain you used proper technique?" "I am certain," Palami said. "I have performed that technique thousands of times. It has never failed." "Can I go?" Danny asked quietly. "I have other areas to clean." "No," Weld said. His voice was firm but not unkind. "I need you to remain here." He tapped a device on his wrist. "Commander Lyra, this is Weld. We have a situation in Training Hall C that requires your attention." Danny's stomach sank. "The station commander." This was getting worse by the minute. Weld looked at the students who were still gathered around watching everything. Class dismissed. "Instructor Palami, please remain." The students filed out slowly, some of them glancing back at Danny. Rin's mandibles were still clicking, faster now. Hora left a nervous trail of slime across half the room. Soon it was just Danny, Palami, and Weld. "Tell me exactly what happened," Weld said. Palami explained the entire sequence. The broken dummy, the request for help, the failed attempts by students to disarm Danny, and finally her own attempt that resulted in the broken staff. As she talked, Weld's colors kept changing. Danny tried to read them but could not. When Palami finished, Weld pulled out a datapad and began typing. "Human Fletcher, what is your homeworld designation?" "Earth," Danny said. "Sol system," more typing. Weld's colors flickered rapidly. Gravitational index, 1.0 g. Surface gravity, 9.8 meters per second squared. He looked up. "You are from a heavy world." Danny shrugged. "I guess. I do not have anything to compare it to. Most Union species evolved on worlds with between 0.3 and 0.6 g, Weld explained. Earth's gravity is significantly higher than the Union average. "Okay," Danny said. He did not understand what that had to do with anything. "Your muscles, bones, and connective tissues developed under constant pressure that most of us never experience," Weld continued. "Every movement you make, your body is fighting against nearly twice the force that mine does." Danny thought about that. "So I'm stronger than you?" "Potentially much stronger," Weld said. "Though we need to test that hypothesis." The door opened again. Commander Lyra entered with smooth gliding steps. She was Avrin, bird-like in appearance with feathers that shimmered like oil on water. Her large eyes took in the scene quickly. "Security Officer Weld," she said. Her voice was melodic, almost singing. "Your message indicated an urgent situation." Weld held up the broken staff. Human Fletcher fractured a composite training staff with grip strength alone. Lyra's head tilted in a very bird-like manner. She walked closer to Danny, studying him. Danny felt very aware of how dirty his maintenance uniform was compared to her pristine commander's outfit. "Fascinating," Lyra said. "I was not aware humans possessed such capability." Neither was I, Danny admitted. We need to conduct a proper assessment, Weld said. If one human has this strength, others might as well. This has implications for station safety protocols. I agree, Lyra said. She focused on Danny. Would you be willing to participate in some physical tests? Nothing invasive or dangerous. Simply measurements and demonstrations. Danny wanted to say no. He wanted to grab his mop and bucket and go back to being invisible. But something in Lyra's expression told him this was important. Will I lose my job? Danny asked. Absolutely not, Lyra said. You have done nothing wrong. We simply need to understand the situation better. Then okay, Danny said. I will help. Excellent. Weld, prepare the testing facility. Palamy, I would like you to observe as well. Your expertise in physical training will be valuable. Lyra looked at Danny. We will begin in 1 hour. That should give you time to finish your shift for the day. I still have 3 more halls to clean, Danny said. Lyra's feathers ruffled slightly. Consider your shift ended early. With full pay, of course. Please report to Medical Bay 4 in 1 hour. Danny nodded. Lyra and Weld left together, talking in low voices. Palamy remained behind, her forearms crossed in various positions. I apologize, Palamy said after a moment. I should not have put you in that situation without understanding your capabilities. You did not know, Danny said. I did not know either. How often do you exercise? Palamy asked. Lift weights, practice combat techniques? Never, Danny said. I mean, I walk a lot for my job. And I move equipment sometimes. But I do not work out or anything like that. Palamy's skin rippled. You are not trained? Not enhanced? This is your natural baseline? I guess so, Danny said. I am pretty average for a human. Maybe even below average. Palamy was quiet for a long moment. Her large eyes studied Danny with an intensity that made him uncomfortable. If you are average, she finally said, then I need to completely reconsider my understanding of human capabilities. Danny did not know what to say to that, so he said nothing. After another moment of awkward silence, Palamy nodded and left. Danny stood alone in the training hall, still holding one piece of the broken staff. He set it down carefully on a bench and went to retrieve his cleaning supplies. His hands were shaking slightly, not from exertion but from nerves. Everything was changing, and Danny did not like change. The next hour passed in a blur. Danny tried to clean a corridor but kept getting distracted. Other crew members walked past and stared at him. Word had spread fast. He heard whispers in languages he did not understand. He saw people pointing. When the hour was up, Danny made his way to Medical Bay 4. The door slid open before he could knock. Inside, the bay had been rearranged. Medical equipment was pushed to the sides. In the center of the room, various pieces of testing equipment were set up. Weld was there, along with a serpentine alien that Danny recognized as Dr. Sal, the station's chief medical officer. Palamy stood off to the side, and Commander Lyra watched from a raised observation platform. Human Fletcher, Dr. Sal said in a hissing voice. Thank you for coming. Please step onto the scale platform. Danny did as instructed. Numbers appeared on a display. Dr. Sal made notes on a datapad. 182 centimeters tall. 82 kilograms mass. Body composition scan indicates muscle density significantly above Union standard. Dr. Sal looked at Danny. Do you consider yourself physically fit by human standards? Not really, Danny said. I am pretty normal. Maybe a little soft around the middle. Dr. Sal's tongue flicked out and back, a gesture Danny had learned meant the doctor was thinking. Interesting. Step over here, please. For the next 30 minutes, they ran tests. Danny squeezed a device that measured grip strength. The numbers climbed higher than the machine was designed to register. He lifted weighted bars. He pulled on resistance cables. He jumped, demonstrating how high he could reach. Every test produced results that made the observers exchange glances and whispered comments. Dr. Sal kept recalibrating equipment, convinced the readings were wrong. Finally, Weld approached with something Danny recognized, a metal pry bar, the kind used to open stuck doors or move heavy equipment. It was solid, about a meter long and made of reinforced alloy. Human Fletcher, Weld said, I want you to attempt to bend this bar. Use both hands and as much force as you can safely generate. Danny took the bar. It was cold and heavy. He looked at the faces watching him. They were all waiting. If I break this, am I paying for it? Danny asked. No. Lyra said from her platform. Please proceed. Danny gripped the bar at both ends. He took a breath and began to apply pressure. At first, nothing happened. The bar was solid, designed to withstand tremendous force. Danny pushed harder. His face felt hot. His arms trembled. The bar began to bend. Slowly at first, then more quickly. The metal groaned in protest. Danny's muscles burned, but he kept pushing. The bar bent into a U-shape. Then with a sharp crack, it snapped in two. Danny stumbled backward, catching himself. He looked at the two pieces in his hands. Then he looked at the observers. Their expressions told him everything. He was not normal. Not by their standards. And nothing was going to be the same after this. 3 days passed before Danny was summoned to Commander Lyra's office. 3 days of whispers and stares. 3 days of crew members stepping aside when he walked down corridors. 3 days of feeling like some kind of dangerous animal in a cage. Danny spent those days trying to work normally. He cleaned floors, replaced air filters, and fixed a broken door panel on level 12. But nothing felt normal anymore. People watched him with a mixture of fascination and fear. Some avoided him entirely. Others found excuses to walk past him, studying him like he was an exhibit in a museum. On the morning of the 3rd day, a message appeared on his data pad. Report to Commander's office, level 1 at 1400 hours. Danny stared at the message for a long time before acknowledging it. He arrived early, standing outside the office door and trying not to fidget. At exactly 1400 hours, the door opened. Commander Lyra's voice called out from inside. Please enter, Human Fletcher. The office was larger than Danny expected. One entire wall was a viewport showing the stars beyond the station. The other walls were covered with holographic displays showing station systems, personnel rosters, and tactical information. In the center of the room, a curved desk sat empty. Lyra stood by the viewport, her feathered form silhouetted against the starlight. Thank you for coming, Lyra said, turning to face him. Please sit. Danny sat in one of the chairs facing the desk. The furniture creaked slightly under his weight, and he wondered if it was rated for his mass. Lyra glided to her desk and activated a holographic display. Images appeared in the air between them. Danny recognized the testing facility and saw himself bending the pry bar. We have spent the past 3 days analyzing the data from your assessment, Lyra said. The results are remarkable and concerning. Danny said nothing. He did not know what to say. Your grip strength is approximately 3.5 times the Union military standard, Lyra continued. Your lifting capacity exceeds 6 times the average. Your bone density is such that our medical scanners initially flagged it as an error. I am sorry, Danny said quietly. Lyra's head tilted. Sorry for what? For being different. For causing problems. You have caused no problems, Lyra said firmly. You have revealed a gap in our understanding. That is not the same thing. She paused. Tell me, Human Fletcher, what do you know about how Earth joined the Galactic Union? Danny shrugged. Not much. I was working construction when the aliens made first contact. By the time I applied for the exchange program, we had already been members for 2 years. Earth's admission was carefully managed, Lyra explained. Your species has a history of internal conflict. Many Union members were concerned about integrating a species with such aggressive tendencies. We are not all aggressive, Danny said defensively. I know, Lyra said. Which is why Earth's government deliberately sent only civilian personnel for the first wave of cultural exchange. Scientists, engineers, maintenance workers. People who could demonstrate humanity's peaceful intentions. Danny began to understand. They did not send soldiers because that would make us look dangerous. Correct. But in doing so, they also failed to reveal the full extent of human physical capabilities. Standard Union fitness assessments are designed for Union species. Humans pass them easily without revealing their upper limits. A door at the back of the office opened. 2 more figures entered. One was a stocky, bear-like creature covered in brown fur. The other was a serpentine form that Danny recognized as Dr. Sal. This is Tactical Advisor Bren, Lyra said, gesturing to the bear creature. And you have already met Dr. Sal. Bren's small eyes studied Danny with an intensity that made him uncomfortable. So this is the human who broke the pry bar. Yes, Lyra said. Remarkable, Bren rumbled. His voice was deep like distant thunder, and disturbing. I'm not trying to disturb anyone, Danny said. Your existence disturbs me. Bren said bluntly. If a maintenance worker has this strength, what about trained human soldiers? What about human special forces? Earth has not provided any military personnel to the Union, Dr. Sal hissed. We have no data on combat-trained humans. That will change soon, Lyra said. She manipulated the holographic display. A new image appeared, showing an official document with Earth's government seal. Earth's diplomatic corps has been notified of your situation. They are sending a representative. Danny's stomach tightened. Why? Because you are not an isolated case, Lyra said. Another image appeared showing a different human in a maintenance uniform. This is Harold Chen, stationed on Depot 9. 2 weeks ago, he accidentally crushed a door control panel while trying to open a stuck door. The panel was designed to withstand direct weapons fire. Another image. A woman with dark skin and short hair. Dr. Patricia Okonkwo, botanist on Agricultural Station 7. Last month, she lifted a cargo container that typically requires 3 crew members and an anti-gravity assist. More images appeared, a dozen in total. All humans, all in civilian positions, all with similar stories of accidentally demonstrating impossible strength. Earth's government has been receiving reports from across Union space, Lyra said. They can no longer pretend that humans are just another standard species. They need to address this situation directly. What does that mean for me? Danny asked. That depends on you, Lyra said. She closed the holographic display. I would like to offer you a different position. Not maintenance crew. Something that would help us integrate humans more safely into Union society. Danny felt a surge of panic. I like my job. I do not want to be a soldier or a fighter. I am not asking you to fight, Lyra said gently. I am asking you to teach. Teach what? Defensive tactics, Palami's voice came from behind him. Danny turned to see the blue-skinned instructor entering through the same door Bren and Dr. Sal had used. How to defend against a physically superior opponent. Palami walked to the center of the room. The incident in my training hall revealed something important. My students train to fight opponents of similar physical capability. They have no experience dealing with someone who can simply overpower their techniques through raw strength. But I do not know how to fight, Danny protested. You do not need to know how to fight, Palami said. You need to help my students understand their vulnerabilities, to practice techniques against an opponent they cannot simply overpower. It would be valuable training, Bren added reluctantly. Our special forces need to prepare for any possibility, including hostile encounters with physically superior species, or hostile encounters with humans, Danny said quietly. Bren's ears flattened against his head. That possibility has been discussed, yes. The pay would be 4 times your current salary, Lyra said. And you would still be helping the station, just in a different capacity. Danny thought about it. 4 times his salary would let him send more money home to his mother. But the idea of being on display, of being studied and analyzed, made him deeply uncomfortable. Can I think about it? Danny asked. Of course, Lyra said. But I would appreciate an answer within 2 days. The Earth representative will arrive in 4 days, and I would like to have a plan in place. Danny nodded and stood to leave. As he reached the door, Lyra called out to him. Human Fletcher, one more thing. I have reviewed your service record. You have been punctual, thorough, and professional in all your duties. You have made friends across multiple species. You are exactly the kind of person we need representing humanity on this station. Danny did not know how to respond to that, so he just nodded again and left. The corridor outside was empty. Danny started walking without any particular destination in mind. His thoughts were spinning. Everything was changing so fast. A week ago he had been invisible. Now he was being asked to become some kind of example for his entire species. He found himself in the observation deck where he had been cleaning windows the day everything started. The stars looked the same as always, distant and cold and unchanging. Danny pressed his hand against the glass and wondered what his grandfather would think about all this. His grandfather had been a steelworker, strong and quiet and steady. He had worked with his hands his whole life and never complained. Danny had always tried to be like him, simple, reliable, nothing special. But maybe being nothing special was not an option anymore. Danny pulled his hand away from the glass. His palm print remained on the surface, the oils from his skin creating a visible mark. He would need to clean that later. The thought made him smile slightly. No matter what job he ended up doing, some things would always need cleaning. That was comforting somehow. Danny looked out at the stars for a while longer, then turned and headed back to his quarters. He had 2 days to make a decision, 2 days to figure out what kind of person he wanted to be, 2 days to decide if he was ready to stop being invisible. Danny accepted the position. The decision came easier than he expected, not because he wanted to be in the spotlight, but because Polemy had visited him in his quarters the night before his deadline and explained what she really needed. "My students are afraid," Polemy had said, sitting across from him in his cramped living space. "Not just of you, but of the unknown. They train to be defenders, protectors of Union space, but their training assumes certain constants. Knowing those constants can be violated has shaken them. I do not want anyone to be afraid of me," Danny had replied. "Then help me teach them not to be. Help me show them that strength without hostility is not something to fear, that they can adapt and overcome even against superior force." So Danny had said yes, and now, a week later, he stood in Training Hall C again. But this time he was not holding a mop. He was wearing a training uniform, dark gray with a simple name patch. The material felt strange against his skin, too smooth and too light. 20 students sat in a semicircle in front of him. They represented 15 different species. Some he recognized from the disarming incident, others were new faces. All of them watched him with varying degrees of nervousness. Polemy stood beside Danny, her forearms relaxed at her sides. "Class, this is Human Fletcher. As most of you know, he will be assisting with a new training module on asymmetric threat response." One of the students raised a clawed hand. It was a reptilian creature with bronze scales. "Instructor, is it true he broke a pry bar with his bare hands?" "It is true," Polemy said. "But that is not why he is here. He is here because he represents a type of opponent you may encounter in the field. One who does not rely on technology or weapons but on fundamental physical advantage." "Are all humans this strong?" another student asked. This one was insectoid with a chitinous exoskeleton. Danny cleared his throat. "Actually, I am pretty average for a human. Maybe even below average. I do not work out. I have never done military training. I just do my job and try not to bother anyone." The students exchanged glances. Danny could see them processing this information, trying to reconcile it with what they knew. "The point," Polemy continued, "is not to fear Human Fletcher or his species. The point is to learn how to defend against an opponent you cannot overpower. This requires different tactics. Evasion, misdirection, targeting vulnerabilities, using the environment." For the next hour, Polemy walked the students through basic concepts. She used Danny as a demonstration partner, showing how traditional disarming techniques failed against someone with his grip strength. Then she showed alternative approaches, going for joints instead of leverage points, using momentum instead of strength, creating distance instead of engaging directly. Danny tried to be as non-threatening as possible. He moved slowly when asked. He did not resist more than necessary. He even cracked a few jokes to lighten the mood. Gradually, the students began to relax. By the end of the session, one of the students, a small mammalian creature with gray fur, approached Danny directly. "Can I try?" the student asked. "A grappling technique against you?" "Sure," Danny said. "Just tell me what you want me to do. Just stand there. I want to see if I can take you down." The student moved quickly, wrapping around Danny's leg and attempting a sweep. Danny stood firm, barely feeling the pressure. The student grunted with effort, then stepped back. "It is like trying to topple a building," the student said, but there was no frustration in the voice. "Just curiosity. Try again," Polemy suggested. "But this time do not try to overpower him. Think about balance points." The student tried again. This time, instead of pulling directly, the student struck behind Danny's knee while pulling forward at his shoulder. The combination of precise targeting and leverage worked. Danny's knee buckled and he stumbled forward. "There," Polemy said, her skin brightening with approval. "You cannot overpower him, but you can disrupt his structure." "Excellent adaptation." The student's fur fluffed with pride. Other students began volunteering to try their own techniques. Danny spent the next 30 minutes being pushed, pulled, tripped, and generally manhandled. He did not mind. He could see the fear fading from their eyes, replaced by professional interest. After class ended and the students filed out, Polemy turned to Danny. "You did well. Better than I expected." "I just stood there and let them knock me around," Danny said. "You did more than that. You showed them you were not a threat. That made them brave enough to engage. Bravery leads to learning. They were interrupted by Weld entering the training hall. The crystalline security officer's surface was cycling through neutral colors. Human Fletcher, Commander Lyra requests your presence in Docking Bay 3. The Earth representative has arrived early. Danny's stomach tightened. How early? 4 days early. Their shuttle docked 10 minutes ago. Danny looked down at his training uniform. He was sweaty and disheveled. I should change. No time, Weld said. The representative specifically asked to meet you immediately. The walk to Docking Bay 3 felt too short. Danny tried to mentally prepare himself for whatever was coming, but his mind kept spinning. Who would Earth send? A diplomat? A military officer? Someone from the government? The docking bay was busy with the normal flow of arriving and departing ships. But near Bay 3, a crowd had gathered. Crew members from across the station had found excuses to be in the area, all trying to catch a glimpse of the new arrival. Commander Lyra stood near the airlock, her feathers arranged in formal patterns. Beside her stood Tactical Advisor Bren and Dr. Sal. They all turned as Danny approached. Ah, Human Fletcher, Lyra said. Perfect timing. The airlock cycled open with a hiss. A figure stepped through. Female, human, wearing a crisp military uniform that Danny recognized as Earth Defense Force. She was tall, with dark hair pulled back in a tight bun. Her eyes scanned the crowd efficiently before settling on Danny. She walked directly to him, ignoring everyone else, and extended her hand. Maintenance Tech Fletcher? Danny shook her hand. Her grip was firm but not aggressive. Yes, ma'am. Major Grace Webb, Earth Defense Force Integration Office. She released his hand and stepped back, studying him. You are the one who broke the pry bar. Yes, ma'am. And you have been teaching combat students for the past week? Assisting with training, yes. Webb turned to Commander Lyra. Commander, thank you for accommodating my early arrival. I hope I have not disrupted your schedule. Not at all, Major, Lyra said. Though I confess I am curious about the urgency. The urgency, Webb said, is that Earth has been getting reports like Fletcher's from 17 different Union facilities. We can no longer ignore the pattern. We need to address human integration proactively before someone gets hurt. Hurt? Bren rumbled. Are you suggesting humans pose a danger? I am suggesting, Webb said calmly, that misunderstanding poses a danger. Human Fletcher accidentally broke equipment because neither he nor his colleagues understood the strength disparity. That is a training issue, not a threat. She looked back at Danny. I have read your entire file, Fletcher. Your supervisor describes you as the most reliable maintenance tech on the station. Your co-workers from multiple species submitted voluntary commendations. Instructor Palamy sent me daily reports on your teaching assistants. You are exactly the kind of human we need as a bridge builder. I'm just trying to help, Danny said. I know, which is why I am here to expand that help. Webb pulled out a datapad and activated it. Earth is establishing a formal integration program. Human personnel will be distributed across Union facilities to assist with developing proper interaction protocols. We need volunteers who have already built positive relationships with Union species. You are at the top of that list. Danny felt dizzy. Major, I appreciate that, but I am not qualified for anything special. I am a janitor. You were a janitor, Webb corrected. Now you are a cultural liaison, whether you intended to be or not. The question is whether you are willing to help us formalize that role. What would that involve? Danny asked carefully. Continue what you are already doing. Teach classes, interact with Union personnel, help develop safety protocols. But you would also coordinate with other humans in similar positions across the Union. Share lessons learned. Help us figure out how to integrate safely. I would still be on this station. Yes, this is your home base. But you might travel occasionally to other facilities for training or consultation. Danny looked at Commander Lyra. Is this something you want? It is something we need, Lyra said. Major Webb and I have been in communication for the past week. This program benefits everyone. Humans get clear guidelines for interaction. Union species get proper training for working alongside humans. Accidents decrease. Understanding increases. Webb stepped closer to Danny. Her expression softened slightly. Look, Fletcher, I know this is overwhelming. Yesterday you were invisible. Today you are being asked to represent your species. But here is the truth, you are already doing it. Every interaction you have with Union personnel shapes how they see humanity. We just want to give you the tools and support to do it well. What if I say no? Danny asked. Then you say no, Webb said simply. This is voluntary. We are not going to force anyone into a role they do not want, but I hope you will say yes, because from what I have seen, you are very good at this. Danny thought about the past week, the students who had gone from fear to curiosity, Palemi's approval, the sense that maybe for the first time in his life, he was doing something that mattered beyond just getting a paycheck. Okay, he said. I will do it. Webb smiled. It was small but genuine. Good, we start tomorrow with a full briefing. For now, get some rest. And Fletcher, one more thing. Yes, ma'am? Stop calling yourself a janitor. You are a maintenance technician and cultural liaison. Words matter. She turned to Commander Lyra. Now, Commander, if you could show me to my quarters, we have protocols to discuss. As they walked away, Danny stood in the docking bay, still processing everything. Weld appeared beside him, his crystalline body reflecting the bay lights. You handled that well, Weld said. I'm not sure I handled it at all, Danny replied. I just said yes and hope for the best. Sometimes that is all we can do, Weld said. Adapt and continue forward. Danny looked around the docking bay. Crew members were dispersing, the excitement over. Soon it would be back to normal operations, except nothing was normal anymore. Weld, Danny said. Am I making a mistake? I do not know, Weld said honestly. But I know you are making a choice, and that is better than letting the choice be made for you. Danny nodded slowly. That was true enough. He headed back to his quarters, his mind already racing with questions about what tomorrow would bring. The briefing room was larger than Danny expected. It had seating for 50, though only 12 chairs were occupied. Major Webb stood at the front manipulating a holographic display that showed data charts and demographic information. Commander Lyra sat in the front row, with Tactical Advisor Bren beside her. Dr. Sal coiled in a specially designed seat near the back. Palemi occupied 2 chairs due to her size, and Danny sat near the middle, trying not to look as nervous as he felt. Security Officer Weld stood by the door, his crystalline form reflecting the holographic light in rainbow patterns. Let me be direct, Webb began. Earth made mistakes during first contact. We were so concerned about appearing peaceful that we hid our true capabilities. We passed Union fitness tests without revealing our limits. We sent only civilians to avoid seeming militaristic. These were understandable choices, but they created a dangerous knowledge gap. She pulled up footage from a dozen different stations and facilities. Danny recognized some of the incidents Lyra had shown him. Broken equipment, damaged infrastructure, shocked Union personnel. These are not attacks, Webb continued. These are accidents caused by ignorance. Humans do not understand our own strength relative to Union species. Union species do not understand human limitations or lack thereof. This creates situations where people can get hurt. Has anyone been hurt? Palemi asked. Minor injuries only so far, Webb said. Bruises, sprains, one fractured limb when a human grabbed too hard during a handshake. But it is only a matter of time before something more serious happens. Bren leaned forward. Major Webb, I appreciate your candor, but you still have not explained why Earth withheld military personnel from the cultural exchange program. Webb met his gaze steadily, because we were afraid you would see us as a threat. Earth's history is violent. We have fought wars among ourselves for thousands of years. We only achieved global unity 30 years ago, and even that is fragile. We worried that showing our military strength too soon would mark us as aggressors. And now, Bren pressed, now we understand that hiding our capabilities is more dangerous than revealing them, which is why I am here to propose a joint training exercise. The room went quiet. Danny could feel the tension. What kind of exercise? Lyra asked. Webb changed the holographic display. Now it showed organizational charts and equipment lists. A demonstration. 4 trained human soldiers working alongside Union elite forces in a simulated combat scenario. Not a competition. A learning experience for both sides. You want to bring human military personnel to this station? Bren said slowly. Armed? With training weapons only, same as Union forces would use, Webb said. The exercise would be observed by Union military brass and diplomatic personnel. Complete transparency. This is a significant escalation, Lyra said. This is honesty, Webb countered. You need to see what trained humans can do. Not to frighten you, but to establish realistic expectations. Right now, you are extrapolating from Fletcher's capabilities. but he is untrained. You have no baseline for what a human soldier actually represents. Danny shifted uncomfortably in his seat. He did not like being used as a measuring stick. I have concerns, Dr. Sal hissed from the back. We have not yet established proper medical protocols for human-alien physical contact. Introducing trained combat personnel seems premature. Which is why the exercise would be carefully controlled, Webb said. Full medical staff on standby. Every participant would be briefed on the strength differential. Safety protocols would be paramount. I want Human Fletcher's opinion, Lyra said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at Danny. He felt his face getting hot. Me? Danny asked. I do not know anything about military stuff. You know about human-union interaction, Lyra said. You have spent a week teaching students how to work with human physical capabilities. Do you think this exercise would be helpful or harmful? Danny thought carefully before answering. I think people are scared because they do not understand. My students were scared at first, but once they worked with me, once they saw I was not trying to hurt anyone, they relaxed. Maybe seeing trained human soldiers would be scary at first, but if they see those soldiers working with Union forces instead of against them, maybe that helps. A diplomatic answer, Bren rumbled. But do you believe it? I do not know what I believe, Danny admitted. But I know that hiding who we are has not worked. So maybe showing who we are is worth trying. Webb nodded. Thank you, Fletcher. That is exactly the perspective we need. She turned back to the others. I propose we run the exercise in 3 weeks. That gives us time to prepare, brief all participants, and set up proper safety protocols. The human team would arrive 1 week before the exercise for acclimation and preliminary training. I need to consult with Union Command, Lyra said. This is not a decision I can make alone. I understand, Webb said. I will be staying on the station regardless. My primary mission is to work with Fletcher and develop integration protocols. The exercise is a secondary objective. The briefing continued for another hour, discussing logistics and concerns. Danny tried to pay attention but found his mind wandering. He kept thinking about the phrase trained human soldiers. What did that even mean in practical terms? He knew he was strong by Union standards, but he had never thrown a punch in his life. What would someone who actually knew how to fight be capable of? After the briefing ended, Danny headed to the training hall for his afternoon class. But he found the room empty except for Palemi, who was rearranging equipment. No class today? Danny asked. Class was canceled, Palemi said. Many of the students requested personal time to process the information about the proposed exercise. They are scared again, Danny said. They are uncertain, Palemi corrected. Uncertainty and fear are related but not identical. Fear is emotional. Uncertainty is rational. She set down the equipment she was holding and turned to face Danny fully. I want to ask you something personal, but you may refuse to answer if it makes you uncomfortable. Okay, Danny said warily. Have you ever hurt someone? Physically, I mean, either intentionally or accidentally. Danny thought back through his life. When I was 12, I got in a fight with another kid at school. I pushed him and he fell and broke his arm. I felt terrible about it. My mom made me apologize and do chores for his family for a month. You were 12, Palemi said. You pushed him with the strength of a 12-year-old human child. And he broke a bone. Danny had never thought about it that way. I guess so. And since then? Any other incidents? No, I learned to be careful. To be gentle. That is what I thought, Palemi said. Her skin rippled with what might have been satisfaction. You learned restraint because you had to. Every human child learns this. You are taught from a young age to control your strength. I suppose that is true. It is something we need, Lyra said. Major Webb and I have been in communication for the past week. This program benefits everyone. Humans get clear guidelines for interaction. Union species get proper training for working alongside humans. Accidents decrease. Understanding increases. Webb stepped closer to Danny. Her expression softened slightly. Look, Fletcher, I know this is overwhelming. Yesterday you were invisible. Today you are being asked to represent your species. But here is the truth, you are already doing it. Every interaction you have with Union personnel shapes how they see humanity. We just want to give you the tools and support to do it well. What if I say no? Danny asked. Then you say no, Webb said simply. This is voluntary. We are not going to force anyone into a role they do not want. But I hope you will say yes, because from what I have seen, you are very good at this. Danny thought about the past week. The students who had gone from fear to curiosity. Palamy's approval, the sense that maybe for the first time in his life, he was doing something that mattered beyond just getting a paycheck. Okay, he said. I will do it, Webb smiled. It was small but genuine. Good. We start tomorrow with a full briefing. For now, get some rest. And Fletcher, one more thing. Yes, ma'am? Stop calling yourself a janitor. You are a maintenance technician and cultural liaison. Words matter. She turned to Commander Lyra. Now, Commander, if you could show me to my quarters, we have protocols to discuss. As they walked away, Danny stood in the docking bay still processing everything. Weld appeared beside him, his crystalline body reflecting the bay lights. You handled that well, Weld said. I am not sure I handled it at all, Danny replied. I just said yes and hoped for the best. Sometimes that is all we can do, Weld said. Adapt and continue forward. Danny looked around the docking bay. Crew members were dispersing, the excitement over. Soon it would be back to normal operations. Except nothing was normal anymore. Weld, Danny said. Am I making a mistake? I do not know, Weld said honestly. But I know you are making a choice, and that is better than letting the choice be made for you. Danny nodded slowly. That was true enough. He headed back to his quarters, his mind already racing with questions about what tomorrow would bring. The briefing room was larger than Danny expected. It had seating for 50, though only 12 chairs were occupied. Major Webb stood at the front, manipulating a holographic display that showed data charts and demographic information. Commander Lyra sat in the front row with Tactical Advisor Bren beside her. Dr. Sal coiled in a specially designed seat near the back. Palamy occupied 2 chairs due to her size, and Danny sat near the middle, trying not to look as nervous as he felt. Security Officer Weld stood by the door, his crystalline form reflecting the holographic light in rainbow patterns. Let me be direct, Webb began. Earth made mistakes during first contact. We were so concerned about appearing peaceful that we hid our true capabilities. We passed Union fitness tests without revealing our limits. We sent only civilians to avoid seeming militaristic. These were understandable choices, but they created a dangerous knowledge gap. She pulled up footage from a dozen different stations and facilities. Danny recognized some of the incidents Lyra had shown him. Broken equipment, damaged infrastructure, shocked Union personnel. These are not attacks, Webb continued. These are accidents caused by ignorance. Humans do not understand our own strength relative to Union species. Union species do not understand human limitations or lack thereof. This creates situations where people can get hurt. Has anyone been hurt? Palamy asked. Minor injuries only so far, Webb said. Bruises, sprains, one fractured limb when a human grabbed too hard during a handshake. But it is only a matter of time before something more serious happens. Bren leaned forward. Major Webb, I appreciate your candor. But you still have not explained why Earth withheld military personnel from the cultural exchange program. Webb met his gaze steadily. Because we were afraid you would see us as a threat. Earth's history is violent. We have fought wars among ourselves for thousands of years. We only achieved global unity 30 years ago, and even that is fragile. We worried that showing our military strength too soon would mark us as aggressors. And now? Bren pressed. Now we understand that hiding our capabilities is more dangerous than revealing them. Which is why I am here to propose a joint training exercise. The room went quiet. Danny could feel the tension. What kind of exercise? Lyra asked. Webb changed the holographic display. Now it showed organizational charts and equipment lists. A demonstration. 4 trained human soldiers working alongside Union elite forces in a simulated combat scenario. Not a competition. A learning experience for both sides. You want to bring human military personnel to this station? Bren said slowly. Armed? With training weapons only, same as Union forces would use, Webb said. The exercise would be observed by Union military brass and diplomatic personnel. Complete transparency. This is a significant escalation, Lyra said. This is honesty, Webb countered. You need to see what trained humans can do. Not to frighten you, but to establish realistic expectations. Right now you are extrapolating from Fletcher's capabilities. But he is untrained. You have no baseline for what a human soldier actually represents. Danny shifted uncomfortably in his seat. He did not like being used as a measuring stick. I have concerns, Dr. Sal hissed from the back. We have not yet established proper medical protocols for human-alien physical contact. Introducing trained combat personnel seems premature, which is why the exercise would be carefully controlled, Webb said. Full medical staff on standby. Every participant would be briefed on the strength differential. Safety protocols would be paramount. I want Human Fletcher's opinion, Lyra said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at Danny. He felt his face getting hot. Me? Danny asked. I do not know anything about military stuff. You know about human-union interaction, Lyra said. You have spent a week teaching students how to work with human physical capabilities. Do you think this exercise would be helpful or harmful? Danny thought carefully before answering. I think people are scared because they do not understand. My students were scared at first. But once they worked with me, once they saw I was not trying to hurt anyone, they relaxed. Maybe seeing trained human soldiers would be scary at first, but if they see those soldiers working with Union forces instead of against them, maybe that helps. A diplomatic answer, Bren rumbled. But do you believe it? I do not know what I believe, Danny admitted. But I know that hiding who we are has not worked. So maybe showing who we are is worth trying. Webb nodded. Thank you, Fletcher. That is exactly the perspective we need. She turned back to the others. I propose we run the exercise in 3 weeks. That gives us time to prepare, brief all participants, and set up proper safety protocols. The human team would arrive 1 week before the exercise for acclimation and preliminary training. I need to consult with Union Command, Lyra said. This is not a decision I can make alone. I understand, Webb said. I will be staying on the station regardless. My primary mission is to work with Fletcher and develop integration protocols. The exercise is a secondary objective. The briefing continued for another hour, discussing logistics and concerns. Danny tried to pay attention but found his mind wandering. He kept thinking about the phrase trained human soldiers. What did that even mean in practical terms? He knew he was strong by Union standards, but he had never thrown a punch in his life. What would someone who actually knew how to fight be capable of? After the briefing ended, Danny headed to the training hall for his afternoon class. But he found the room empty except for Palemi, who was rearranging equipment. No class today? Danny asked. Class was canceled, Palemi said. Many of the students requested personal time to process the information about the proposed exercise. They are scared again, Danny said. They are uncertain, Palemi corrected. Uncertainty and fear are related but not identical. Fear is emotional. Uncertainty is rational. She set down the equipment she was holding and turned to face Danny fully. I want to ask you something personal, but you may refuse to answer if it makes you uncomfortable. Okay, Danny said warily. Have you ever hurt someone? Physically, I mean, either intentionally or accidentally. Danny thought back through his life. When I was 12, I got in a fight with another kid at school. I pushed him and he fell and broke his arm. I felt terrible about it. My mom made me apologize and do chores for his family for a month. You were 12, Palemi said. You pushed him with the strength of a 12-year-old human child. And he broke a bone. Danny had never thought about it that way. I guess so. And since then? Any other incidents? No, I learned to be careful. To be gentle. That is what I thought, Palemi said. Her skin rippled with what might have been satisfaction. You learned restraint because you had to. Every human child learns this. You are taught from a young age to control your strength. I suppose that is true. Union species do not have the same lesson, Palemi continued. We do not need to hold back in normal interaction. Our strength is proportional to our society, but humans must constantly moderate their force. You are always restraining yourselves. I never thought about it like that, Danny admitted. It is why I am not afraid of the human soldiers coming here, Palemi said. If your untrained maintenance workers have learned such careful control, your trained soldiers will have even greater discipline. They will have to, or they would hurt each other during training. Danny felt something loosen in his chest. He had been worried about the exercise, worried about making humans look dangerous. But Palemi was right. Every human he knew had learned to be gentle, not because they were naturally gentle, but because they were not. Thank you, Danny said, for saying that. I'm simply observing truth, Palemi said. Now, since we have no class, perhaps you could help me with something else. I want to develop a training manual for Union soldiers working alongside humans. You could provide insight into human behavior and capabilities. They spent the next several hours working on the manual. Palami would describe a tactical situation, and Danny would explain how a human might approach it differently. Sometimes his answers surprised her. Other times they confirmed her suspicions. By the time they finished, Danny's head hurt from thinking so hard. But he also felt more confident. He was contributing something real, something that might actually help. Over the next 2 weeks, life settled into a new rhythm. Danny taught classes in the morning, worked with Major Webb on integration protocols in the afternoon, and helped Palami with the training manual in the evening. His old maintenance duties were reassigned to other crew members, though Danny still found himself cleaning things out of habit. The station grew busier as word spread about the upcoming exercise. Union military observers began arriving, wanting to see the human teaching assistant everyone was talking about. Danny gave the same demonstration over and over. Hold a staff, let people try to take it, explained that this was normal for his species. Some observers were skeptical. Others were fascinated. One, a high-ranking officer from a species Danny did not recognize, asked bluntly if humans were preparing for war against the Union. "No, sir," Danny had replied. "We are just trying to live alongside you without anyone getting hurt." The officer had studied him for a long time before nodding and leaving without another word. 3 days before the human military team was scheduled to arrive, Commander Lyra called another meeting. This time only Danny, Webb, and Palami attended. "Union Command has approved the exercise," Lyra said. "With conditions. Full medical staff, non-lethal weapons only, and human Fletcher must participate." "Me?" Danny asked. "But I am not a soldier." "That is exactly why they want you," Lyra explained. "You represent the baseline. The human soldiers will demonstrate trained capability. You will demonstrate untrained capability. The comparison will be educational." Webb frowned. "I am not sure that is fair to Fletcher. He did not sign up to be put on display." "I will do it," Danny said. Both women looked at him in surprise. "If it helps people understand, I will do it." "You are certain?" Lyra asked. "No," Danny said honestly. "But I am willing." "That will do," Lyra said. "The exercise is scheduled for 6 days from now. The human team arrives in 3 days. I suggest you rest, Fletcher. You are about to become very busy." Danny left the meeting with his stomach churning. He had just agreed to something he did not fully understand. But it was too late to back out now. The next 3 days passed in a blur of preparation. The station buzzed with activity. Extra medical personnel arrived. The training arena was reconfigured for the exercise. Union military officers filled the observation galleries talking in quiet, serious voices. And Danny tried not to think about what he had volunteered for. The human military transport docked at exactly 0800 hours. Danny stood in the observation area above Docking Bay 3, watching through the reinforced glass as the airlock cycled open. Major Webb stood beside him, her posture relaxed but alert. "Nervous?" Webb asked. "Yes," Danny admitted. "Good, that means you are taking this seriously." 4 figures emerged from the airlock. All wore Earth Defense Force uniforms, crisp and professional. 3 men and 1 woman, ranging in age from mid-20s to early 40s. They moved with a precision that Danny recognized from watching Union military personnel. Every step deliberate, every gesture economical. "That is Sergeant Lisa Park," Webb said, pointing to the woman at the front. "Infantry Tactics Specialist. Behind her, Corporal David Ogun, hand-to-hand combat instructor. Then Specialist Amy Reeves, combat engineer, and Medic First Class Robert Chang." "They look normal," Danny said. "They are normal," Webb replied. "That is the point. These are not special forces or enhanced soldiers. These are standard military personnel. Good at their jobs but not superhuman by Earth standards." They descended to the docking bay. Commander Lyra was already there, along with Palami, Bren, and Weld. The human soldiers snapped to attention as Webb approached. "At ease," Webb said. "Welcome to Galactic Defense Academy Station. This is Human Fletcher, the civilian liaison I mentioned in the briefings." Sergeant Park stepped forward and offered her hand. Danny shook it, grateful that her grip was firm but controlled. "Sergeant, thank you for coming." "Thank you for paving the way," Park said. Her voice was warm, with a slight accent Danny could not place. "We read your file. You have done good work here." The other soldiers introduced themselves. Each handshake was careful, measured. They had clearly been briefed about the strength differential. Over the next 3 days, Danny watched the soldiers integrate into station life. They were professional, polite, and careful. They ate in the communal dining areas, introducing themselves to other species. They attended briefings and asked thoughtful questions. They practiced in the training halls, using only non-lethal weapons and always under supervision. Danny noticed something interesting. Crew members who had been nervous about the soldiers began to relax. The humans were so obviously disciplined, so clearly in control of themselves that fear gave way to curiosity. On the evening before the exercise, Danny found Sergeant Park in the station's small recreation area. She was reading something on a data pad, a cup of what smelled like real coffee beside her. "Mind if I sit?" Danny asked. "Please," Park said, gesturing to the chair across from her. They sat in silence for a moment. Danny tried to think of something to say. "You are nervous about tomorrow," Park said finally. It was not a question. "Is it that obvious?" "Only to someone who has been nervous before every major event in their life," Park said with a slight smile. "Major Webb told us you did not want to be in the spotlight, that you just wanted to do your job quietly." "That is true. I understand that," Park said. "Most soldiers do not join because they want glory. They join because someone needs to do the job." She took a sip of her coffee. "You did not choose this situation, Fletcher. But you handled it with grace. That takes courage." "I just did what seemed right," Danny said. "Exactly," Park said. "Which is all any of us can do." The day of the exercise arrived too quickly. Danny woke before his alarm, his stomach tight with anxiety. He dressed in the training uniform they had provided and made his way to the arena. The training arena had been transformed. Obstacles created a mock urban environment with buildings, barriers, and multiple levels. One side was designated as the start point for the Union team, the other for the human team. In the center, holographic hostages waited to be rescued. The observation galleries were packed. Union military officers, diplomatic personnel, station crew members. Everyone wanted to see this. Danny stood in a preparation room with the human soldiers. They were checking their equipment, speaking in low voices. "Fletcher," Park called out. "Come here for a minute." Danny approached. The 4 soldiers gathered around him. "Listen," Park said. "We know you are not trained for this. We know you are doing this to help. So here is what is going to happen. You stay with Chang. He is our medic, so he will be providing support rather than frontline action. Watch what we do, help if you can, but mostly just do not get hurt. Understand?" "Understood," Danny said, relieved. "And Fletcher," Ogun added. "If anyone asks you to do something you are not comfortable with, just say no. This is a demonstration, not a combat situation." The door opened. Weld's crystalline form appeared. 5 minutes to start positions. The teams moved to their starting points. Danny followed Chang, who gave him an encouraging nod. On the other side of the arena, Danny could see the Union team assembling. Palemi was there, along with 9 other soldiers from various species. They looked prepared and professional. A tone sounded. Holographic displays activated, showing the scenario. Armed hostiles had taken civilians captive in the center structure. Both teams had to secure the hostages and neutralize the threats. Time limit 15 minutes, scoring based on speed, efficiency, and hostage safety. Another tone. The exercise began. The Union team moved first, advancing carefully with excellent tactical spacing. They used cover effectively, communicated clearly, and progressed toward the center with textbook precision. The human team moved differently, faster, more aggressive. Park led them on a route that seemed reckless, jumping between levels and using obstacles in ways Danny had not expected. But it worked. They reached the first objective before the Union team even cleared the approach. Danny followed Chang, trying to stay out of the way. The medic moved with calm efficiency, always positioning himself to support the others while staying protected. The teams converged on the center structure from different angles. Holographic enemies appeared, requiring both teams to engage. The Union team used suppression fire and tactical maneuvers, exactly as they had been trained. The human team did something else. Reeves pulled out a manual pry bar and simply forced open a security door that the Union team was carefully bypassing. Ogun went through first, clearing the room with movements so fast Danny could barely track them. Park and Chang followed, with Danny trailing behind. Inside, holographic hostages cowered. The scoring system registered their successful extraction. The Union team secured their hostages seconds later through the main entrance. But then something unexpected happened. A holographic barrier descended, separating the exit. The Union team immediately began setting up breaching equipment. Standard procedure. 2 minutes to place and detonate. Reeves walked up to the barrier, examined it for 3 seconds, then wedged her pry bar into the mechanism. Ogun joined her. Together, they simply forced the barrier open through mechanical advantage and raw strength. The barrier opened in 15 seconds. The observers erupted in conversation. Danny could hear the surprise even through the arena's sound dampening. The exercise continued. Both teams extracted their hostages successfully. The humans finished 40 seconds faster, but the Union team had better tactical efficiency scores. The final results were deliberately balanced, showing different approaches rather than declaring a winner. Afterward, everyone gathered in the debriefing room. Union officers peppered the humans with questions. How did you move so fast? How did you know the barrier could be forced? How do you train for that kind of adaptability? Sergeant Park answered patiently. We train under Earth gravity. Everything here feels easier for us. We can move faster, carry more, push harder. But that does not make us better soldiers. It makes us different soldiers. Palami spoke up. I noticed you never attempted to overpower our soldiers directly. Even when you could have moved faster by pushing past them, you waited or went around. Yes, ma'am, Park said. Because this is not about showing dominance. It is about showing we can work alongside you. Our strength is a tool, not a weapon. Tactical advisor Bren, who had been quiet throughout, finally spoke. You could have injured our soldiers easily during that exercise. Multiple times you were close enough to cause significant harm with minimal effort. Yet you maintained perfect discipline. Sir, with respect, that is not discipline, Park said. That is just being a decent person. We do not hurt people unless we have to. Human soldiers train extensively on force escalation. We learn to use exactly as much force as needed and no more. Because you must, Bren said. If you did not, you would hurt each other during training. Exactly, sir. The room fell silent. Danny saw understanding dawning on faces throughout the audience. Commander Lyra stood. I believe this exercise has been educational for everyone. The human team has demonstrated both capability and restraint. The Union team has shown excellent adaptability when facing unexpected approaches. This is exactly the kind of learning we hope to achieve. She looked at Danny. Human Fletcher, you were quiet during the exercise, but your presence made it possible. You built the foundation of trust that allowed this to happen. On behalf of the station, thank you. Danny felt his face getting hot. I just did what I could, Commander. Which was exactly enough, Lyra said. Over the following weeks, things changed on the station. More humans arrived, taking positions in various departments. Integration protocols were refined based on lessons learned. The training manual Palami and Danny had developed became required reading for all personnel working with humans. But the most important change was subtler. Fear transformed into understanding. Humans were strong, yes, but they were also careful, disciplined, and cooperative. They used their strength to help, not to dominate. Danny continued teaching classes, but now he had help. The human soldiers stayed for an extra month, each teaching specialized courses. Park taught tactical flexibility. Ogun taught defensive techniques against stronger opponents. Reeves taught creative problem-solving. Chang taught emergency medical response for multi-species teams. And slowly, the station learned to see humans not as threats, but as colleagues. One evening, 3 months after the exercise, Danny found himself back in the observation deck where everything had started. He was cleaning windows again at his own request. He had discovered he missed the simple meditative work. Palmi found him there. Old habits? She asked. Something like that, Danny said. Plus, nobody else gets these windows quite clean enough. Palami's skin rippled with amusement. I have news. The Union Command has approved a full-scale human integration program. Your work here has been used as the model for 20 other stations. That is good, Danny said. People should not be afraid of each other. No, they should not. Palami paused. I also came to thank you personally. My students have learned more in the past few months than in their entire previous training. Not just about fighting, but about adapting. About looking beyond assumptions. You taught them that. I just held a stick while they tried to take it away, Danny said. You did much more than that. You showed them that strength without hostility is possible, that different does not mean dangerous. Palemi extended one of her hands. Thank you, Human Fletcher, for being exactly who you are. Danny shook her hand carefully. Thank you for giving me the chance. After Palemi left, Danny returned to cleaning windows. The stars outside looked the same as always, distant and cold and unchanging. But the station around him had changed completely. He thought about the broken staff that had started everything. How one moment of unexpected strength had led to all of this. How being seen, really seen, had been terrifying at first, but ultimately rewarding. Danny pressed his hand against the glass, leaving a palm print. Then he smiled and wiped it away. Some things would always need cleaning. And Danny was okay with that, because now he knew that even simple work could matter. Even invisible people could make a difference. You just had to be willing to be seen. Danny finished the windows and gathered his supplies. Tomorrow he would teach another class. He would help develop more protocols. He would continue building bridges between humans and the rest of the galaxy. But tonight he was just a maintenance tech cleaning windows. And that was enough. It had always been enough. He just had not known it until now.